Hello everyone, welcome back to CloudOps Craft. In our Docker series, today we are going to learn about Docker volumes. Okay, persistent data between containers. Okay, let's start. Actually, so far we have been happily running containers, but here's a problem. If you stop or delete a container, its data disappears. Let's test it first. Okay, so I am using AWS virtual machine. Like in previous videos and all, I have used VM, right? The same VM. Okay, so let's test this. Okay, what I said, if you stop or delete a container, data is disappearing, right? So first we will test that, and for that solution only Docker volumes. After that we will learn Docker volumes. Okay, so let's test it. Okay, so if I type Docker images, I have this image. I'll delete this. Okay, Docker RMI. Okay, Docker PS. I don't have any running containers. Docker PS hyphen a. Okay, first I'll delete the container. Okay, now I'll delete the image. Okay, both has been deleted. Docker images, I don't have anything. Now we will test. Okay, Docker run hyphen it Ubuntu. Okay, we are just using Ubuntu image, and we are going to just save some file, and we are going to test it after by stopping it. Okay, so git bash. Now it is pulling the image. Since we don't have Ubuntu image, now we are inside the container. Okay, I'm just going to write one text file. Okay, so echo hello docker, hello docker, and I will save this in hello.txt. Okay, now I am going to exit. Okay, if I type docker ps, this is short-lived container. Okay, it will not be in a docker ps. Okay, it will be in docker ps until you use the terminal. It will be running. Once you exit the terminal, it will stop. Okay, now again I'm going to, now I stopped it, right? Like which means we exited, right? Now again I'm going to start this. Okay, docker start hyphen ai container id. Okay, now we are inside the terminal. Okay, now if I cat hello.txt, you can still see the hello.txt file, right? Now I am going to delete this container. Okay, now I am going to delete this container. Docker ps hyphen a. Okay, docker rm, and I am going to destroy this container. Now I have destroyed it. Now again I'm going to run the container, run the Ubuntu container. Okay, docker run hyphen it Ubuntu bash. Okay, now if I do ls, we don't have. If I do cat hello.txt, no such file or directory. This happens because each container has its own isolated file system. When the container dies, data also will dies. Okay, so to resolve this issue only, Docker volumes is there. Okay, volumes are Docker solution to persistence. Okay, they are stored outside the container lifecycle, managed by Docker. Even if a container is deleted, volume remains. Okay, volume can be shared between multiple containers. Okay, container is like a temporary whiteboard. A volume is like a permanent notebook where you store important notes. Okay, so let's start. Types of containers, types of storage in Docker. Okay, Docker supports three main approaches. Okay, while coming to types of storages, let me zoom this. Okay, types of storage. Okay, first one is volumes. Okay, volumes is recommended one. Okay, second one is bind mounts. Third one is temporary FS mounts. Okay, first is volumes, which is recommended one. Okay, which is the recommended. Okay, so it is stored in Docker managed area. Okay, the path will be /var /lib /docker /volumes. Okay, it is independent of containers. Okay, so next is bind mounts. Okay, in bind mounts it maps a directory from your host machine into the container, useful for local development. Okay, third one is temporary FS mounts. Okay, it stores data in memory only, it disappears on restart. Okay, volumes is managed by Docker. Bind mounts, which is host folder mapped inside container. Temporary FS is RAM only, no persistence. Okay, so if I ask a question, which type could you use for sensitive temporary data like session caches means, you must go with temporary FS. Okay, for this kind of scenario. Okay, now let's create a volume. Okay, let's create and use a named volume. Okay, so now I am going to create a volume. Okay, the command is docker. Now we are going to create a named volume. Okay, docker volume create my data. Okay, I am just creating one volume called my data. What it does, this command creates a Docker managed volume called my data. Okay, volumes are stored under Docker internal path. Okay, on Linux usually under /var /lib /lib docker volumes. Okay, we have to use sudo. Okay, just wait. I'll enter as a root user. Okay, cd /var /lib /docker volumes. Okay, here you can see my data which we have created. Okay, if I go my inside my data, I will have underscore data folder. Here you can see. Okay, it's completely independent of containers, meaning even if all containers are deleted, the data remains. Think of it as a permanent storage folder managed by Docker. Okay, so now how to use, we have created the we have created the volume, then how to use that volume. Okay, you may have this doubt, right, how to use that volume. Okay, so let's run with volume. Okay, so docker run -d for detached mode, -v for volume, because we are going to mount the volume, so we have to use volume. Okay, my data. Okay, this is our volume name, and we are going to mount that under /app/data. Okay, /app/data. Okay, and name I'll just give as volume test. Okay, and the sleep is infinity. Oh. Okay, so if I run this, we are getting some issue. Are you able to find that, are you able to understand what is the issue? Because here you can see we have used three underscores, three hyphens. Okay, there should be only two hyphens for name. Okay, now we are getting pull access denied for sleep. Repository does not contain or may require Docker login. Okay, so how to fix this? Now actually I'll do Docker login. Okay, I'll exit of this. Okay, I already did Docker login. Just check. Okay, we need a Docker login. Okay, I'll do it. Okay, login is succeed because I have already logged in into it. Okay, so now I am going to run this. but again we are getting issue, but we are already done docker login also, right? Then why we are getting this issue? Any idea? Because we have to use ubuntu image, right? I haven't used ubuntu here. Here you can see volume name is wall test. We are going to do this test in ubuntu image, right? I haven't mentioned the image name, that's why it's not working. Now you can see it has created the container. If I do docker ps, I can see the running container. Okay, so docker run, what it will do, it start a new container hyphen d, run in detached mode, which is background mode. Okay, hyphen v. Okay, here we are mounting the named volume my data into containers slash app slash data directory. Okay, left side we have, right, which is my data docker volume name. Right side is path inside the container name wall test. Okay, gives the container a custom name. Here you can see wall test. Okay, I just given container name as volume test. Okay, in short form. Ubuntu is the image used to create the container. Okay, sleep infinity, which means keeps the container running indefinitely. Okay, otherwise it could stop immediately, like allow world, like in previous classes we done, right, like that. Okay, to make it run as a long process I did this. Okay, what happens internally, docker does these steps. Okay, it creates a new container from the ubuntu image. It mounts the volume my data into containers slash app slash data directory. It starts running the command sleep infinity inside. Okay, which never ends, keeping the container alive. Okay, now we are going to access the container. Okay, how to access the container? With the help of exec -it interactive terminal. Okay, docker exec -it. Okay, our container name is volume test. Okay, and bash I'm going to use to access this terminal. Okay, now here docker exec is there, right? It's a it run a command inside a running container. Okay, -it is interactive terminal. Okay, it lets you use the terminal. Volume test is our target container name. Bash is the command you are executing inside. It opens a bash shell. Okay, now we are inside the volume test container. Okay, now we are going to save some data. Okay, so echo saved in volume. Okay, and I am going to write this data under app data, because in app data only I have mounted my volume, right? So slash app slash data. Okay, slash file dot txt. Okay, now done. Okay, what it will do, it will create a file. Okay, I can access that file. Okay, app data file.txt, you can see saved in volume. This is the content of that file. Okay, so since slash app slash data is mounted from the named volume my data, this file is actually stored on the volume, not just inside the container file system. Even if you delete this container, the file will remain inside the volume. Okay, now we are going to exit the container. Okay, if you type exit, okay, it closes your shell session and returns to the host terminal. Okay, this container wall test is still running. You can see docker ps. Okay, since it's running sleep infinity. Okay, now I'm going to remove the container. Okay, so docker rm -f because it is running, so I'm forcefully deleting it. Okay, container name is wall test. Okay, it has been deleted. If I use docker ps, you can't see that here after. It is okay. uh, it is not, it is our old container. Okay, it's not our wall test. You can see the name. Okay, so docker rm, what it will do, it will remove a container. -f means forces stop and removal. Okay, if it is still running. Okay, now the container is gone, but the volume my data is still exit. How you can check? Docker volume ls, you can see my data is still there. Okay, because docker volume is live independently of containers. Okay, we can reuse the same volume in a new container. Okay, now we are going to create a new container and we are going to check, okay, whether our file is there or not. Okay, because for that purpose only we are using docker container, right? So docker rn This time I'll just go directly interactive. Okay, hyphen v for volume. My data is my volume name slash app slash data. Okay, Ubuntu. Okay, I'll just use cat and I'll try to open my file directly, app slash data. Data slash file dot txt. Okay, you can see saved in volume, because even after destroying the container you can able to see this, because we stored our data in docker volume. Okay, if I use docker uh, ps-a, you can see this is the new container that we created now. Okay, because here we haven't used sleep infinite. Okay, so it is stopped. Okay, once we exited. Okay, so docker run infinity, what it is doing, it ran a new container interactively, hyphen v my data colon slash app slash data mounts the same my data volume again. Here ubuntu is the ubuntu image that we have used, and this is the file path, read and display the content of the file stored earlier. So now we can see the content that we previously stored in a previous container. That proves that file persisted even after the previous container was deleted. Okay, this is the major use case of docker volume. Okay, what we just proved it, docker volume, like even if you destroy the container, docker the data you stored in volume will be there. Okay, you can reuse it with new containers. Okay, so now we will discuss about using bind mounts. Okay, in three types. This is the widely used. Okay, in production and all we will go with volumes only. Okay, it is widely used, and which is the recommended way. Okay, so we know how to handle this now. Now we will discuss about bind mounts and temporary affairs. Okay, what is a bind mount? Bind mount connects a real folder from your host machine to a folder inside the container. Unlike volumes, which are managed entirely by Docker, bind mounts directly link your local file system to the container file system. So, when you change a file on your host, it instantly updates inside the container and vice versa. This is why bind mounts are perfect for development. Okay, so now we will just do a bind mount. Okay, so I don't have nginx, right? Or like, let's have an example. Okay, this is my current directory. Okay, I'll just create one html folder. Okay, dir, this is my host machine. Okay, I'm just storing html folder. Okay, I'll go inside it and I'll just create one text sample dot html. Okay, okay, this is sample, and I'll close the tag. Okay, I'll come out of this. Okay, now we have html folder here. Okay, now I'm going to create a bind mount. Okay, so docker run hyphen d for detached mode, hyphen p for port. Okay, port I'm giving host port as 8080, container port as 80. Okay, hyphen v for volume. Okay, dollar symbol, pwd is my current working directory slash html. Okay, this is my host path. Okay, now I am going to give container path because I am going to use nginx image this time. Okay, slash user slash dash slash nginx slash html. Okay, and I am going to use nginx image, right? So let's click enter. It's pulling nginx image because it is not there. Okay, so let me explain. Docker run hyphen d, what it does, it runs a new container in detached mode, which is background mode, hyphen p. Okay, and we have given port here. Host port is 8080 and the container port is 80. Okay, so you can access the container web server at localhost colon 8080. Okay, so here you can see, okay, this is the core part. This creates the bind mount. Okay, here you can see left side part, it refers to the HTML folder inside our current working directory on the host, okay, which is this HTML folder, okay, on the host, okay, which is our AWS VM. Okay, next is this user share nginx HTML. This is where nginx serves web files from inside the container, meaning your local folder .html replaces the container's default web root. Okay, nginx is the official image we have used here. What happens here internally? It starts a new container from the nginx image. It checks your host directory, okay, which is this directory that only we are calling it here. Okay, if it exists, mount it. If not, it creates it automatically. Anything you put in that HTML folder now appears inside the container under slash user slash share slash nginx slash HTML folder. Nginx serves those files immediately at URL. Okay, for example, if I use curl, okay, http localhost, okay, 8080, since I am running outside the container, right? Okay, we are getting forbidden. Any idea? Because I think I am not allowing this 880 port. Let me check in my security group. 8080. Okay, first we will check inside the container. After that we will check outside the container. Okay, so let's go inside the container. Okay, how to enter into the container? Just to check our HTML folder. Okay, so docker exec -it. We don't know our container ID, right? I'll just use docker ps. Okay, so here is container ID. So docker exec -it, my container ID, bash. First we will check, we created one text, like one HTML file inside HTML, right? Whether it is there or not, first we will check, because that is the purpose of bind mount, right? So slash user share nginx html. If I do ls, you can see sample.html that we stored. If I use cat, you can see that here. Okay, now inside the container we will try to run this. Why we are getting this issue? Any idea? Any idea why we are getting this? We are getting no such file or directory. Why? Any idea? Do you know why we are getting that? See, we are getting this issue. Why? Because I want this class to be interactive, so I asked this question. If you know the answer, just let pause the video and let me know on the comment section, so I can understand whether you predicted it. Because it is not the command, because you have to use curl, right? Without using curl, you are running just http, then how it will work? Okay. Again, we are getting forbidden issues. Why? Any idea why we are getting a forbidden? Do you know the answer? We can see we are getting forbidden. Again, if you know this, just let me know on the comment section. The thing is, by default it uses index.html, okay, but we have used sample.html, right? So we will try to change. Okay, again I'll connect my container here. Okay, so I'll enter into HTML folder. I'll um, rename this to index.html. Okay, now I renamed. We will just check whether it is reflected or not. Yeah, within fraction of seconds it has been reflected. Now you can see we are getting this p tag. Okay, because it takes by default index.html only. Okay, so we have to use index.html. But you can ask now, if it is sample.html, why it is not working? Because you have to call the name, because I haven't called any name. If you are not calling any name, it will check for index.html only. Again I'll switch to sample.html, it will work, but we have to call that. Okay, so index.html to sample.html. Okay, now you can see it is sample.html. Do you think it will not work? Obviously it will work, but just use sample.html. You have to call by name. Okay, if you call by name, obviously you can save with any name, it will work. Okay, so this is how bind mounts works. Okay, I hope you clear. If you have any queries, let me know on the comment section, so I will clarify your doubts. Okay, now you know how to handle bind mount and bind mount as well as volumes, right? Now let's have some hands on for temporary fs. Okay, so how to work with temporary fs, any idea? If you know, just let me know on the comment section, because you know how bind mount works and how volumes works, right? uh, so if I want to test with the temporary fs, okay, uh, okay, how to use temporary fs, just let me know on the comment section, so I can understand like how you creating. Okay, okay, let me do it. Okay, let me do it. Let's have an example with temporary fs, okay, which is very fast, automatically cleared on reboot, useful for catching temp files and speed critical data. Okay, I'll come out of this. Okay, now let's create one temporary mode. Okay, sudo mkdir slash mnt slash ram disk. Okay, so now I'm going to do mount with the tmpfs. Okay, uh, but now we are going to do this with docker, right? uh, so again we have to run that container, right? So like now we have created the mount point. Now how we can call this? It is easy. Okay, it is like a similar like what we did. Okay, so what you can do is docker. Okay, better let's make it simple. Okay, we can create a catchy folder in ram. Okay, so uh, let's come out of this. Everything is in catchy will be stored in the memory, right? So where to find catchy folder? Any idea? Since we are making it simple, where to find this? Where to find a catchy folder? Any idea? If you know, just let me know on the comment section. The reason for asking questions and doing it is so you will understand, like you will watch this like a live class. Okay, so just to create that only I am doing it. Okay, we can just run directly. Okay, docker run. Okay, so docker run hyphen it for interactive terminal hyphen rm, because we can delete this after this. tmpfs slash catchy. Okay, alpine as such, alpine as such. Docker creates a temporary in-memory folder inside the container at slash catchy. Okay, you can see catchy. Okay, I'll enter into it slash catchy. Okay, I'll just create one file. Okay, now if I do ls, you can see this, right? The thing is here, very important thing is this slash catchy does not exist on your host. You can't see this slash catchy via EC2 or local machine. It lives only inside the container's memory. It disappears when the container stops. Okay, why you can't find slash catchy on the host? Because TMP temporary FS is not a folder on disk. It's not a volume. It's not a bind mode. It's stored only in container RAM. Okay, deleted when container exists. So after you exit the container, catchy is gone. Okay, so this is all about temporary FS. Now you know how to work with volumes, how to work with bind modes, how to work with the TMP FS, right? So so this is the needed one for Docker volumes. Okay, apart from this, if you want to inspect and manage volumes, I will provide some commands now, so you can use that to inspect. Okay, you can use Docker volume ls, okay, to list all your volumes. If you want to inspect your volume also, it's possible. Okay, you can use Docker volume inspect my data. This is our volume, right? So you can inspect it. Okay, even you can delete it, okay, with the help of rm, because volume it is in use, so you can't delete it. So first you have to detach, after that only you have to delete it. Okay, so ls for list volumes, Docker volume inspect for seeing details, Docker rm for remove one, Docker volume. If you want to clean unused volumes, then you can use Docker volume. Okay, this command will delete unused volumes. Okay, because we don't have any unused volumes, so it was 0 MB was deleted. Okay, the best practice with volumes is always use named volumes for data you want Docker to manage, which is we created a Docker create volume, right? You can go with volumes, okay, instead of bind mounts or temporary FS. Okay, use bind mounts for local development, not production. Okay, always backup volumes in production. You can combine this with Docker ignore to avoid bloating images. Document your volume mappings in readme for your team. Okay, if you like this breakdown, subscribe to Cloud Ops Craft. We will simplify cloud and DevOps concepts every week. Thank you.